Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending upon your time zone. This is Lauren Gray, the host of the weekly live show, This Week in Hospitality Marketing, also the host of the weekly podcast, Hospitality Marketing, the podcast, which is also weekly. But this is an attempt to just open up a dialogue. We've done it now for last week was the first week, and we're doing it for our second week. We're at noon. We literally just open up the mic. I've sent the link out to all the platforms that I am aware of. I'm going to continue to do that as you too. So you might see me quiet here. This isn't a radio show. This isn't a live broadcast of this is what you need to do. This is how you're going to do it. This is what's going on. This is just a chance to talk. A chance to just pop in, talk to somebody different. If you are doing what you should be doing, which is social distancing, and you have had the unfortunateness of losing your position, being furloughed or let go or whatever, and or you have the privilege of still being able to work but working from home, and you just need a break, and to talk to somebody else and not worry about who they are and work for them or don't work for them or worked with you or whatever. This is that open chance to kind of chit chat and just talk about fun stuff. It's kind of like coffee talk, which, by the way, coffee. Oh, I love coffee. And RST went either way, for those who know me. If you haven't joined our live show during the week, it's a lot of fun. We've had some amazing guests this past few weeks. It started 3 weeks ago when these things started happening. We had both Bob Gilbert, the president of HSMAI, and Dr. Cecil Staton, the president and CEO of AAHOA, Asian American Hotel Owners Association, join our show. And it went very well. It was a very nice, calming opportunity. Like, hey, look, we know that craziness is going on. Our association is here to support. They do different roles. They have different roles. And then they thought it was so good that they came back 2 weeks ago. And they did it all over again, that time with updates as to, they had a chance. I mean, we're all still watching the bombs fall, so to speak, and the shock of what's happening. And they had a chance to kind of reconnoiter as to how they're positioning themselves, what they're looking to focus on, what they're looking to try to do to be supportive of based on each of the individual associations' focuses. And to that end, we went over and had some really good conversations as to how AAHOA was with their lobbyists in Washington, D.C. at the time. They were trying to pursue what could be done to help our industry and so forth. And with Bob, he was talking about how in support of all those that were furloughed, and in support of those people as to what they need and what they can do and how the association is going to try to help them and the unity of both of them. It was a great solidarity conversation for both of them to be on. And that went so well that we then went over and had AHLA join us. And that was Chip Rogers and William Rogers, Chip. And he joined us last week. So we had all three presidents on our show last week. And it was fascinating to once again reconfirm how each of the associations are different and what each of the associations do, as to also how is it that they're approaching these projects. So, 3 weeks ago we had both Bob and Cecil on, which started the process. And again, that was more of a show of solidarity. It's like, hey, we know this is going crazy on us right now. And be there. We're going to be there for you as an association and so forth. Second week was, okay, now that we've had another week of all this stuff happening to us and so forth, this is what we think is happening and what we can focus on and what we can try to help with. And then last week was even more solidarity with all three presidents on talking about all their individual focuses and what they're doing and how they're doing it. Of course, with AHLA, same thing with AAHOA, they were very much focused on talking via their lobbyists to our government officials as to how and what is going to be helping our industry when it comes to trying to recover from all this and what they can do now and what support can they offer now and so forth. And of course, each week brings new revelations for us and all, but that's really not the purpose of what we're doing here today. This is, like I said, open mic. If nobody shows up, that's okay. I'm used to talking to myself, stuff I says. But by the same token, I know that Mr. Ed usually tends to join me when he gets the opportunity, if he has a chance to do it. I've had Holly, I've had a few people that have joined us, and it's been a lot of fun to have them on as well. If you don't mind, since I'm by myself, and again, this isn't a show where I have to worry about dead air or if we're talking about something or if somebody's engaging with us, because I don't see anybody popping in with us yet. I'm just simply going to let it sit right now, see if anyone wants to join me. and have coffee at the same time, uh, which is always a good thing. I am going to post this on Hospitality Family. It's a great Facebook page, by the way. If you want to talk about talking to other people and dialogue, it kind of goes down some rabbit holes. There's some dark conversations and so forth. But for the most part, it is a great opportunity to continue to share dialogue with people from our industry, as we all are kind of isolated from each other at this particular moment. I know I don't want to post something. I want to look for something. I want to look for Hospitality Family. Ooh, very bad pixelation. From what it looks like, my restream is having issues. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Hopefully that will clear up in some capacity. Very bad pixelization. I think, yeah, we're still good on connection. Oh, we're back. Good. Hospitality Family. There we are. There we go. And we'll put that here. Alrighty. We'll leave that as is. Let's see what we have.
No one today?
Nay, no one today.
Oh, bummer.
I was kind of poking around. I was a little late on posting out too, so I don't blame myself for it. I keep trying to. The Restream has what is it when they're attacking hard? I forget what it's called. When they're attacking your website.
A denial of service?
No, brute force attack.
Brute force. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're having issues with some stuff, I guess. But no, I mean, links and everything else like this. But no, all's good.
Do you see my DIY haircut? Check this out.
Wow.
How'd I do?
And no bald patches.
Nope.
I thought we were on a ponytail race.
No, my hair was driving me nuts, man. I can't stand having long hair, so I ran to CVS and bought a pair of head clippers because I didn't have like head ones. I had beard ones and stuff.
Did you walk in the store like you're going to surgery? Gloves on, mask on?
Yeah. It's getting a little scary up here. Like we're Seminole County's like knocking on 100 now. We're not a big county. Like
yeah, well, we've had I think down here about 117 or so forth perpetually, but it's really just the people are all, it's weird to see, and I say this even to some of my friends in some ways. It's like it's weird to see. You see, we got to social distance and so forth and so on, and then you see them go on a boat with a bunch of people. You're like, really? There was one guy, one of our friends, neighbors that loves our dog, and he's over there working with a mechanic on his engine. They're all both crawling over the outboard engine. I'm like, you do know. Unless this guy tells you he hasn't seen a soul, which seems really weird, but that you're kind of sharing whatever he shared, and I'm not trying to be paranoid, but it's one of those things.
Now's the time. Like, yeah. I had to go grocery shopping yesterday, and the whole time I'm like, don't touch your face, don't touch anything, get home, wash my hands immediately, like full on.
Yeah, well, I probably lots about my life you don't know. My mother was, she was one of the first people to ever be diagnosed with OCD in the 60s. They didn't even call it OCD at the time. They didn't even know what it was at the time.
Wow.
And they went and they put her through, at the time, anything and everything that they could think of as to why she had this phobic fear of dirt, mysterious dirt, just, invisible dirt. And it was probably the death of her, to be honest with you.
Really?
Probably created a lot of her dementia issues. So she was a brilliant woman, but you can see where it can kind of go crazy, where you're worried about the last thing you touch versus the next thing you touch versus what was touched when you were doing touching that.
Right.
Anyways, I grew up in that world. So this is painful for me to have to go back to some of the things, but I also have to thank her for the fact that I know what it's like to track where you touched and where you touched last and what you didn't touch and what you should have not touched and what you did when you're outside versus inside and all that crazy stuff. So in that sense, I can thank her, but in the reverse of it, I am so afraid of this because for those who have OCD, I feel for them that here all of a sudden they're having to actually adopt the things they're trying to not do.
Yep.
And to them, it's going to save themselves, but the ability to get back out of that hole, it's like any addiction of anything, but this is a mental thing, is that once you get into that pattern again,
it's going to be hard to break.
Yeah. And it turns into a performance, and it is all consuming. And so, I've shown Renee's like, the difference between outside versus inside. And you always do the same things when you come from out to in, regardless of whether you came close to anybody or didn't. It's just, you don't know whether they grabbed your door handle of your own car, for gosh sakes, whatever it is. It's just inside, you have a different protocol compared to outside.
Yep.
And then what you do and how you do it and how to break the chain of what you've touched versus what you don't touch. Remember what side of a wrap, when you go to wipe something off, there's the clean side that was on your hand versus the dirty side that wasn't. Don't flip it around because you just didn't do yourself a favor. This stuff. And I watch these people and it's like, they're like, oh yeah, social distancing. Meanwhile, I went to Publix, Winn-Dixie, and 2 other stores because I was looking for something. Okay, so anything and everything, if you just happened to or did, you just brought it back to yourself. So We actually have reset clocks. Any one of our friends, we've just reset another 14 days. Just, and we're just staying away from everybody and just everybody, anything. We're getting, and when we get things delivered, we spray them down, and then we pop the boxes, take the stuff out, spray that down, leave it outside on our patio or whatever, walk straight through with it, and then wipe it down as we take them out of the containers, bring them inside. I mean, it's a terrible thing, and I grew up like that every day. So
my dad was OCD, and same thing.
Yeah,
and I have it much more mild. Like, it's not crippling to me, but I can tell you, like, I get that huge, like, explosion of dread when I see things that are dirty or germy or, like, it's painful, but it's prepared me for this. Actually, I was a huge germaphobe before having kids, and with kids, you just can't.
I don't know. My mom said, well, for hers, it was more imaginary.
Babies break you out of it. I used to threaten to fire people for coming to work sick. It drove me nuts. But man, I paid for that though. I paid for that when my oldest first started going to school. Because I was a germaphobe, and because I stayed away from, touching things and all of that stuff, I had no immune system. So when my first one went to school, for the first 6 months she was in school, I rotated every couple of weeks between sinus infection, strep throat, and stomach flu. Like, I was sick the whole first 6 months she was in school. It was a nightmare.
Not good. I'm just gonna make sure everybody's okay. So I had this new analogy, and I'm using this on some training. I went over. So for this weekend, I actually have to get caught up because I haven't reposted all my show stuff and everything and pushed out. I mean, my podcast is up and out, but I have to follow up with about 6 platforms that it doesn't automatically load up to. Plus, I want to get Lily's podcast up. I had her do a revenue management podcast.
Nice.
It's kind of fun, perfectionism. You can't do that when you do the broadcasting stuff. It's just like, look, there's going to be stuff you never like. It's never going to sound the way exactly you wanted it to sound, or say the way exactly you want to say it. Just accept that it's as good as it's going to be, kind of thing. And she's like, I recorded this, I didn't like it, I re-recorded it again, didn't I? And I was saying, I don't know if I even still like it. I'm like, just stop. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just cut it. We'll put it in, and it'll be good. Interesting, there's a platform in AppSumo.
Who would have thought?
Who'd have thought that will actually take your broadcast of the video and automatically turn it into audio, automatically add an intro and close, and automatically load it up as a podcast now.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up.
You're like, I'll buy that lifetime license, please.
Well, the cool part of it is that now the live shows, as long as they are, for anyone who's interested in it, will automatically get posted up as a podcast without me having to manually extract the audio file and everything else. It's like,
that's great. Yeah, that's a huge time saver for you.
Yeah. So now, I'll have this podcast, the marketing podcast, which I always do, which is always less than 30 minutes.
Yep.
And then I'll do the long-winded, hey, this is the replay of our live show. So if you want to listen to it, you have all the time in the world, go for it. So we'll have 2 of those up. And then Robert said he declined on doing a podcast because some group, nameless as I remember it is, wants him to do a weekly update thing. And he thinks there'd be in conflict. I'm like, okay. I remind him, it's like, Robert, just remember, it's not an either and. It should be either or. It should be an and, because that was the time to get your voice out there. You're the dude that always provides this data for everybody.
Right.
Why can't you have your own voice?
Why can't you be the harbinger of sorrow?
Did you see my post? I love the soup one, man. I love the soup one. I cried. I saw that one. That was funny as heck. Yeah. And then the Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
That was fantastic. That was really good.
Oh, because Robert says, I like the Robert's little post. We need more Lauren posts, and Robert posted like, yeah, dude, quit the crap numbers. It's gonna keep getting worse, and it's always not that we don't need to be informed. It's just minute by minute updates.
Well,
I don't know.
and listen, you can kind of just say it's bad. Everyone knows it's bad. Everyone knows that. I mean, if you want, go find the places that it's not so bad and report on those, right? I mean, it's got to be something somewhere.
The other thing that I find very surprising is I signed up. Did you keep signed up with those RV clubs?
Yeah, like Good Sam and stuff.
Yeah, well, Good Sam's going through a huge change right now, but there's a lot of RV places closed down. So
which makes no sense,
right? It's like, okay, so these lifers, that are out there, they don't live anywhere. They live in their RV.
Right.
That's where they live. That's how they live, is literally place to place. Are struggling to find places to stay.
It's amazing.
And it's like, to me, the RV club should be the first option.
Walmart parking lot.
Right?
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's it.
Yeah, but it just, to me, is very special. Oh, so I never got back to my analogy. Sorry, my analogy I came up with. So over the weekend, I went through the whole Moz SEO training program.
Okay.
Which was fun. I mean, some people were like, wow, that's like watching wallpaper, dry or whatever. But it was good to go back through it again because I forgot some of the basic core building block stuff. But it made me think of what we're dealing with right now is a little like an analogy, like we're a fishing fleet. And this wasn't a part of anything they did. This popped in my head. And I wasn't even drinking at the time, which even makes it even nicer. So we're a fishing fleet. And we found out that the fish are toxic. We can't catch fish. So the whole fishing fleet is shut down. We can't go out. So a lot of the captains of the boats just fired their crews. Okay, so these boats are sitting out there. Some people forgot to turn some lights off. Maybe somebody forgot to turn the engine off. Somebody didn't put the nets away. Somebody didn't tie the boat up correctly. And they're just sitting out there. Batteries dying. Fuel's running out. Water's getting in the cabin. Nets fell overboard. Boat broke loose and hit the ground. Whatever. That's our websites.
Yep.
Because basically they got rid of everybody. Boom, you're out of here. Boom, go away.
Yep.
Marketing, everything gone. Bye-bye. Unless you go out there and make sure everything's secured and shut off properly and everything else. And also, when we do come out of this, you're going to go into your website and you're going to have your March promotions still sitting on it. And you're going to still have your optimization for events that are long since gone.
Well, let's be honest, though. A lot of them are going to have much bigger problems than that, Lauren. Like a lot of them, listen, I mean, you talk about the ones who are, who just kind of went through and just cut with a knife and, cut all their employees and stuff. They're going to remember that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
the thing, too, is that, the captains, they take care of the boats. They go out there and say, now's the time for maintenance. Let's paint this bad boy up.
Exactly.
Let's get all this up. Now, when the crews come back to the harbor to go, okay, which boat captain do I want to work for? Them.
Yep. And that's the thing. And honestly, I was just saying this morning because I really felt it last week. There are hotels that the way they approached their vendors at this time, their vendors will completely appreciate. But then there are ones that, like, I got to tell you, I have one rule, don't be a dick. And there are a couple. I get that this is a tough time, but don't forget, it's a tough time that absolutely everyone is going through.
Right.
And so there are a couple that I personally responded to. And, again, I wasn't a dick because don't be a dick. I understand these people are stressed out and stuff. But I was sure to put in there, I'm very sorry about the situation you're going through. These last 2 weeks have been incredibly difficult to listening to how all of our customers are in the same boat and are, having hard times and all of that stuff. And I just wanted to write that because, you got to remember, all of us are humans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so barking and being nasty on your first email because your hotel's closed, I get that you're going through pain. All of us are. All of us, everyone you're talking to is going through pain right now. So be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice.
I sent one email, and I remember because it was the only one I sent like this. When this first started barreling down, I had forgotten to reach out to TravelClick, and I'll be straight up. I reached out to TravelClick for the GDS paid campaigns we're running because I panicked and forgot that I had not shut those off.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, shut off our GDS campaigns ASAP. Get back with you soon. And I felt that it was such a rude, no high, blah, 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 just do this. That the next day I wrote back and said, please understand, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be there. Da, da, da. Would you be so kind as go and shut that off? I'm so sorry. I was in a crunch. I forgot about it. I mean, I explained the whole reason why I did it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no worries. No, says, no, that was rude of me to be that short. I didn't mean to be that short. I realized when I read the email, I'm like, dang, I got that. I'd be like,
and that's the only thing I want to say to everyone is be nice to everyone, because everyone's going through pain right now. Everyone is. You are not alone.
No.
Everyone is hurting.
No, it's very true. But what do you think of my analogy? The whole
I liked it. The only thing I'm going to say is shorten it.
Oh, well.
Because an analogy shouldn't be 2 chapters.
Oh, come on.
All right, listen.
What are you talking about?
I wanted to come on and be on the show because trying to dedicate time to this every day, but I do need to run or I will not get to eat lunch today.
Why? What, you got all the time in the world for lunch? What?
No, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more strategy calls today with partners, helping them transition their strategies. So I do need to run. I appreciate you doing this for the industry. Hopefully people will show up at some point.
We will. Well, as I get better at knowing how to distribute this, I really haven't spent time to distribute this. So just more like, okay, turn it on.
Yep.
So yeah, as I get better at distributing it, and plus, when you go to the Facebook family one, now they're mitigating their posts, which they weren't before.
Right.
So I got to be earlier about, hey, we're doing this then. Can you make sure this post goes out so that people can join us? This isn't in deference to you. This is really in concept of you. You guys are talking about people getting together and chatting. So enjoy. Yeah, I have so many interesting calls today because more and more people, of course, have been impacted. The people that didn't get hit by the first wave got hit by the second.
Right. Well, and with Trump kicking out social distancing till the end of April, that's going to create a new wave of action plans. So yeah, it's crazy. So, all right, brother, be well. I will do my darndest to be on this every day. So.
I'll be a little, thank you. I appreciate that. I always, I made the comment at the very beginning. It's like, where's my Ed?
I got caught up on a call.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I'll go over and I'll get this out for tomorrow after I get done with today's. And then that way we may have a little bit more lead in time for some others. But I did figure out I can just send the presenters link to anybody that I want to. So that's why it makes it easier than having to do the knock thing. So,
Yep.
All right, dude. Well, listen, take care. Have a good rest of the day. All right.
You too. Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye. Do. I liked my analogy. Was a little long though. SBA webinar 1 to 3. Interesting. So I can embed it into a website page and leave that as an open dialogue. Anyways, so I was going through the Moz SEO training, which, by the way, is free for right now if anyone wants to join it. The fun part of it is that if you already knew it, it's reaffirmational. If you haven't learned it, it's actually very insightful. Now, I will say that it is outdated. I think the course itself, the fundamentals and local and so forth, was 2016, was just after Mockingbird. So a lot of it was about that transition process. And it doesn't obviously cover BERT, which is by far a much more robust learning process as to how to work and counteract with that a little bit. But some of the fun things I was talking about is the rescaling of keyword research, the ability to look and see and say, okay, look, you're doing keyword research and you need to look at it from a funnel perspective. You have top of the funnel, middle funnel, and lower funnel. You have three fundamental search types. You have instructional, you have informational, and you have navigational. Informational, navigational, and acquisition. Then there's brand, which is another process of funnel, which makes it a lot different. So you have different ways of doing that as well. Now, with this, you have putting terms and terminology associated with each segment of that. So it was talking about creating a grid, showing the funnel and its processes, and then showing topics that you would want to show up for on the one side, and then looking for keywords and phrases that would fit each of those aspects or not, that you would think that your hotel should identify for. And that makes it an interesting work to do that. But it makes it for fun. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
Ik ben aan het feestdag met ons praten en alles, maar voorlopig tot zekerheid niet. Zo checken, zo praten met mensen. Maar er zijn mensen bijvoorbeeld die waren die niet thuis blijven. Er zijn mensen die niet thuis blijven. Ja, maar dan wordt ook wel onze vrienden, dan kijk ik oké. Dus vrienden die hebben zo net uit dat hun badkamer werd gebouwd voor een week. Ik heb steeds mensen over de deur. En wij denken ook, ja, die zat er nog twee. Ging elke dag uit. Elke dag weer in de park en in de parkeraad met wat oude dingen. Niet zoals ik dood vervelend. Ja, dus ben ik ook. Het is allemaal mooie aarde. Niemand op een binnen. Zo vorige week. En toen was ook iemand langs geweest bij een van die mensen. Te maken. Dat realiseer je dan niet. Je kan het niet, je weet het niet. Ja,
Helps if I didn't have the microphone off. All right. So I'm posed the question, what are the top 3 digital marketing action plans you should do during this downtime? My answer to that is the big stuff. The stuff you never thought you would have time for, the stuff you thought you would be too disruptive to daily business to do, or the stuff that would distract too much. So the 3 things that you should do right now would be make sure that you're up to date. All of your old campaigns that were left sitting still need to be cleaned out. All the things that you know you can't attack right now need to be done. All the things that you have the hope of doing should be built in. And this is a chance to really, truly take the time to evaluate your comp set, your market, your demand to market, your personas to market, to really lay out all that is to be done. This is the chance. And now racing analogies, this is where you get to pull the engine, take the car apart. This is where you get to go over and do all the stuff they say, well, can't do that right now because we're too busy. We're still running the car around the races. We're between races. We got to get into the next race. We can't take the car out of service right now. Well, now you can. Now you can do all those things. Now you can do the deep dive stuff. Now you can sit and say, hey, let's look at this. And I say, let's look at this being people that you're working with. That's the stuff that you need to do. Well, this is about a wrap up. We have 5 more minutes. I do apologize we did not get this out earlier today. We've had more engagement, so forth and so on. But again, this is just an open forum. I'm here every day for those who might want to just talk about different things. And hang out. Talk to somebody other than somebody that is in their house, if we're doing the good thing, which is social quarantining. Well, everyone, it is the top of the hour. I will continue to do this each time at noon. For those who are interested in joining us, you are always more than welcome to. Until tomorrow at noon, and I'll get the link out for tomorrow a lot sooner than I did today, so hopefully we'll have more engagement than what we did. I look forward to seeing whoever joins us. Until then, thank you all, and we will talk to you tomorrow at noon.